this is supposed to make you wide awake and productive. So much so, they call it magic. What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda here. I just bought this. It's called Magic Mind, and I saw an ad for it, and I thought, why not check this out? Because I have some trouble getting going in the morning. I'm not a morning person, and I use whatever I can to get going. And a lot of times that's coffee, but sometimes I drink a little tea, or even sometimes have a Diet Coke or something like that. So what I wanted to do here was try this out because there seem to be a lot of benefits to it. Now you can see here we have 5x3. We have 15 of these little bottles of Magic Mind potion. It's made over a boiling cauldron, and what's interesting is it kind of looks like a green tea. I believe it's like a matcha. Now the reason I picked this up is I actually saw a clip from an interview from the person who started this company, and he was actually talking about the benefits of this over coffee, that most of us use coffee or caffeine to get going. And I don't know if this is true, but it made sense to me that he said caffeine doesn't provide you energy. It blocks the signal from your body to some of the neuroreceptors that say you're tired, and so even if you are fatigued, it makes you feel more awake. And that kind of makes some sense. I feel like if you drink coffee in the evening, you don't feel tired, but do you have more energy? I mean, have you taken in the calories to burn and turn that into fuel? So maybe not, but I actually thought that was an interesting take on it, and I don't know if it's true. But what I have here is a little bottle. This is not particularly big, 2 fluid ounces. See, it's got a nice little cartoon. It almost looks like a Japanese graphic or something. And this has a lot of different stuff here. So first of all, to give you that elevated sense of energy, and I'm just looking at the little brochure here, what this has in it is matcha, which gives you energy, adaptogens, I think, which help you relax, nootropics, which keeps you focused, honey, which makes you happy. Probably adds a little bit of that sweetness that you need, because I'm not sure if those other ingredients taste particularly good. But that's what you get in this little bottle here. And what I'm excited about doing is trying it out. Now, the other thing that it says is that if you have a routine, you take coffee, go ahead and take this with your coffee. You can chill it, you can drink it alongside your coffee, you can put it into stuff, make a magic latte or something like that, add it to sparkling water like Topo Chico, which my buddy Dave really likes. But what I'm going to do today is I just have my glass here, Peter Von Panda glass, and I'm going to pour it in here because I want to show you what this looks like, tell you what it smells like, and then taste it without diluting it with anything else so that you might know what you're getting into. So first of all, I'm just going to go ahead and pour it in there, and it looks like a wheatgrass shot or something like that to me. I mean, that is pretty green. It is definitely not see-through or anything like that. And or what does it smell like? All right, I'm not actually sure I know what matcha is. I know when I go to some of those cool swanky offices, they have matcha on tap, but it kind of smells a little bit like alfalfa and wheatgrass and bitters, like maybe even like some fruit, like some light beets or pureed vegetables, like pureed carrots or squash or something like that. So it has an interesting, not unpleasant smell. There seems to be like a hint of cinnamon, which might be like the honey or something like that in there, but it's not a really strong smell. You kind of have to work at it. I mean, it definitely smells like kind of like alfalfa and evergreen to me. So only 2 fluid ounces here. Let's go ahead and taste it and see what it tastes like. I'm gonna get a big swig of this because I don't want to jip you out of a thorough review, but I'm a little worried about this because anytime you advertise, hey, take it with something, you're kind of saying, hey, it doesn't taste very good. Ooh, it's a little spicy and a little tart, but it doesn't taste bad. And I would say in this little bottle, this is perfect for shooting it. There's a little bit of sourness. It's giving me a little bit of that pucker factor, kind of like an aronia berry or something like that. But it has more of a fruit flavor than I expected. I expected it to be more of a grassy or wheat flavor, but it's got almost an apple juice-like flavor on the front end, but maybe a little thicker and a little bit more earthy. But definitely I feel like apple juice was kind of that primary taste. But then on the back end, what you're left with is like that pucker effect that is kind of triggered by the lemon taste, right? So I don't know that I'd call it lemon. It actually does taste like a homemade lemonade that doesn't have a lot of sugar. You know, if you get regular lemonade or manufactured or processed lemonade, it has a lot of sugar to make it sweeter. But this is like the country lemonades that I remember from my childhood where, ooh, you'd go ahead and pucker up on that sucker. 2 fluid ounces, and this is like the last ounce. Yeah, it actually goes down pretty smooth. I was worried about it kind of being really almost undrinkable without something else, but I would tell you what, I would take some of these, throw one in a bag, take it to work, go ahead and shoot this thing in the morning, but we'll see if it makes me a little bit more aware or awake or focused. Even though I do drink coffee, I don't drink it necessarily every day, maybe a couple times a week. I'm just going to stick to my normal routine, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this to my routine in the morning, and then at the end of the week, we'll see how I feel. I don't know that I'll be able to tell you much difference, and measuring something like this is really subjective, and to be honest, if you just told me something like this will help me focus and stay awake, and it had no benefits at all, but kept telling me that, my mind might just trick me and stay more awake and more focused. But what I do want to do is give this a fair shot here, and just see what I think after 5 or 6 days of using this. So, we'll be back. Another day, another Magic Mind. Okay. All right. Another morning of Magic Mind. A couple swallows there. Woo! I feel like the tartness just might wake you up a little bit. So, I'll keep trying it. One time pretty easy. Actually, in the morning when you're kind of thirsty, hits the spot. All right, one more day on Magic Mind. All right, another morning, another Magic Mind. Just FYI, last couple days here, I've kind of noticed that there's a lot of sediment if you don't shake these very well. So make sure you give them a good shake before you drink them. Otherwise, you're going to leave a lot of good stuff in there. All right. And again, I don't think you have to shoot them, but I just like getting on with my day. Oh, the colors are so pretty. All right, off to work. Alright, so I have been drinking this Magic Mind all week here, and a couple things that I will say. First of all, it's amazing how small these little bottles are. Just let's get to the chase here, and I will say that after a week of drinking this, I am not sure that it's doing anything. It's kind of like me testing golf clubs. Sometimes I think it's working, but sometimes it's not really showing up in the data. And something like this, I think, is really hard to quantify because, week to week, day to day, our lives aren't the same. And even if you have a pretty consistent routine, it can be hard in just a week to know if one single part of your life is really having an impact on it. I will say this. There are a couple things that I do like about it. From an energy and a focus standpoint, I had as busy of a week as I ever have. I have been working the day job. I've been working on this channel in my spare time and the weekends, and it was as productive a week as I have ever had. In fact, I had a number of meetings this week, and I found myself, being engaged and being able to participate and not necessarily slacking off or being unfocused or drifting off or getting tired. So that is definitely something that I noticed. But from a benefit standpoint, do I feel noticeably better, noticeably more focused, noticeably more energetic? I can't really tell you. Maybe I'm an energetic guy by nature, but I certainly can tell you that it didn't hurt. I wasn't underperforming in any way, despite the fact that maybe I didn't get quite as much sleep as I do on average, so maybe that's a good sign. Now, one thing I will say about this is that taking these things in the morning was actually fairly pleasant. It's got a little bit of a tart taste, but it doesn't taste bad by any means. It's kind of nice, and because it has a little bit of that tartness, sometimes taking the shot in the morning, and you saw me when I was taking the shot, it's kind of like a little nice punch in the face and a wake up. Not in an unpleasant way. Sometimes when you're drinking that coffee and you're drinking it black, it's kind of overly roasted or bitter or whatever it might be, and sometimes those can wake you up just because it's not necessarily delicious. But something like this was pretty good, and especially before you get your breakfast, pour your cup of coffee, pour yourself your juice, kind of gave me a little bit of kick in the morning. Right after you take it, you just kind of feel a little bit more awake. So that was kind of nice too. It's actually a good way to start your day. Now, the drawbacks of this. These are pretty expensive, for my little box here, which is probably going to last me a couple of weeks. I think it was something like 80 or 90 bucks. So they're not cheap, and it's not necessarily a issue of getting quantity because I don't want to take more than I need to. But if they can stay small like this, travelable, easy to drink, everything that I need is in the small bottle, I really like that. But for a lot of people, spending $100 on something that you're going to start your morning with every couple weeks could be kind of pricey. And so that is my dilemma here, is that I will probably continue to take these, finish out my box. I don't have that many left. And I will say that, if I kind of feel like a drop off or something like that, I might go ahead and resub again. But if these were cheaper, if these were like, $2 a bottle, say 30 bucks for 15 of these, then I would say, hey, that is much more palatable. But for a lot of us that are trying to cut costs, find cheap solutions, I think coffee is a cheap solution for a lot of us. These can be pretty expensive, so kind of like a Starbucks coffee. So, Magic Mind, do I like it? Yeah, for a few reasons. Whether or not it's actually producing some of these benefits that it advertises, I like starting my day with it. It was kind of a fun drink to have in the morning routine here, and they certainly didn't hurt, and I would say that it seemed to help me throughout the week. So I really like them. And if you want to pick them up, I'll put a link to these in the description below. But it's interesting, and if there's an alternative that's cheaper, I'll definitely check those out too. In fact, I think I want to have a long day, so I may just drink another one. Who says I can't have 2 in a day? Woo! Pretty good. Check them out. Peter Von Panda. Out.
We can discover more and explore so much deeper. We can live better than ever thanks to Peter Von Panda.